We tried it with coaches with 2 Wonderkid squads to see how important max and minimum ability coaches were throughout someone's career. Well, today we've got the same identical squads. We've got level playing field coaches, but we've got the best facilities versus the worst facilities. Who will come out on top? How important are facilities to player growth? Let's get into it. And yes, welcome back, gang. It's Chesterfield versus Rochdale once again, because doing some sort of staff variation with this kind of thing was very difficult to set up. So I used the previous database that I'd got correct and just went into the in-game editor, and made some tweaks. So if we look at the staff, all the staff here, we've got 10s across the board. The same applies for Chesterfield. There you go. There's the staff. So 10s across the board, they've got identical coaches. In terms of the players, we've got, of course, 2 Wonderkid squads. We've got 90 current ability, 200 potential ability. As ever, we've got transfers to Saudi Arabia in 2045. And of course, we've got a transfer embargo. Now, last time, the max coaches was for Chesterfield, and it was Rochdale that had the worst coaches. This time we flipped the script on its head and we've given Chesterfield the worst facilities and given Rochdale the best facilities, as you can see there. In terms of youth recruitment, we've put them down at 1 because I don't want them to get loads of youth players coming through to help them on their way. Now, facilities change over time, I hear you say. Yes, they do. What I did in this experiment is I simulated through to the end of the season, and I reset the facilities, basically. Now, for the first few years, it didn't make much difference. Then Chesterfield a few times did go up to 4, then 7 or whatever. But towards the latter part of their careers, in the last 10 years, when they were in the Premier League and they had a load of money, because they were getting competition prize money, spoiler, they get to the Premier League, shock, they were going directly to 20 facilities. So I kept having to reset that every season, but they were going to 20 facilities. So it's not the most analytical of experiments, but the main growth of the players and the bulk of their progression period, they will have very poor facilities versus max facilities, but it is 1 versus 20 at this moment in time. So we're both in the Vanarama National League. The season preview says Rochdale are going to win the league. Chesterfield are going to come second. Of course, the league competition has a bearing and an effect on player progression. So will that come into effect? Will one team get promoted first, or will they both go up in the first season? Well, let's go and find out, shall we? Well, it's the worst facilitated Chesterfield who have gone and got themselves promoted. They are the champions of the Vanarama National League, whereas Rochdale came in second place and unfortunately lost out in the final to Gateshead. Well, Ellis Taylor in the 13th minute, the Sunderland player on loan at Gateshead, I assume, scored the only goal of the game. Rochdale Cam 2 did miss a penalty 2 minutes later. Oh, how different that could have been. So, straight away, Rochdale are now going to be at a disservice because they're going to be potentially behind Chesterfield for a few seasons in terms of the competition that they're in. So while we're at it, shall we look at Chesterfield or Rochdale first? We'll look at Chesterfield. I don't know why I asked. No one could reply. 119 for 2 players, 118 for 4. So a lot of high 1-teens for Chesterfield. So that's nearly 30 attribute points jumped, over 20 attribute points for quite a lot of players. So they've jumped up really well considering they've got 1 facilities. Rochdale, again, so it's very similar. It's very similar. They've got a couple of players who've gone ahead and they've got up to 121, but they've got 4 on 119, then they've got 117, a few on 116, 115. So it's negligible. It is negligible at this first juncture. But 17 to 18 is a huge progression year. They've had a good run in the first team. They've won loads of games. But that goes to show if you've got a good personality youngster who has bags of potential, it doesn't matter what the facilities are in the Vanarama National League. Get them there. If they're going to play week in, week out, they should improve massively. So there you go. Chesterfield with 1 facilities have improved about the same. Vanarama National League, the season preview, Rochdale 1 to 91. Never in doubt. They're going up this season. They've got to. Chesterfield 1 to 91 in League 2. So they're probably both going to get promoted, which means Chesterfield are going to be a league ahead. And because they're at a higher competition league, is that going to supersede facilities? 2025 incoming. Well, there we go then. Look at that. 118 points to 87. Oh my word. That's 31 points they've won the league by. Unbelievable. 91 goals scored, 22 against. 69 goal difference. Nice. Well, Rochdale have got promoted. Did Chesterfield? You better believe it. 87 points to Stockport's 80. Not as comprehensive as Rochdale's win in the Vanarama National League, but still winning the league at the first time of asking all the same. The season preview, Rochdale 1-91 and Chesterfield 1-10 in League One. Let's go and have a look at Chesterfield then. And there we go. 130 for 2 players and quite a few in the 120s. You've put a few players down in the under 18s, probably because they're not playing much, but every player there is over 110, or at 110 at the very least. That is the goalkeeper. So it appears bad facilities makes goalkeepers progress considerably less. Because the first choice goalkeeper 1, he's at 97. So facilities are very important for goalkeeper training, potentially. We'll see if Rochdale's goalkeepers improve far beyond 110, because I feel Chesterfield goalkeeper 2, yeah, he's the first choice goalkeeper. And yeah, so 130, 120s, yeah. Rochdale. Okay, so this has been a huge jump. So we saw 2 players at 130 for Chesterfield. Well, we've got 14 players who are actually better off than that. 14 players. The goalkeepers, weirdly, haven't improved greatly. I mean, they've both improved more. 108 and 119. I think the Chesterfield goalkeeper's at 100, if memory serves me correctly. 130, so centre mid 3, is level with the 2 best players at Chesterfield. And this is despite being in a lower league with a worse competition rating, which means they will progress less. So had Rochdale got promoted and Chesterfield not, I think that gap might have been even bigger. But 141 out of 200 already, after 2 years of being in the Vanarama National League, that is insane. Spirited personality as well, ladies and gentlemen. The personality for both teams breaks down to about this: 5 injury proneness, 10 for controversy and dirtiness, sportsmanship, loyalty, adaptability, all the same. Ambition, professionalism at 15 apiece, 16 for pressure, 11 for important matches and temperament, consistency 12, versatility 14. The only variation in personality will be if determination and leadership, etc., fluctuates based on what the game has pumped in at them. So, yeah, when we move to 2026, how much further clear can Rochdale pull in terms of current ability? Okay, so they've absolutely walked League 2, getting promoted by 23 points ahead of Wrexham. 95 goals scored, 27 against 68 goal difference this time. Not quite as nice, you know what I mean? Of course you know what I mean. And yeah, so a massive win for them. League One, well, it was Chesterfield who did win again, and this time it was better than in League Two. In League One, 96 points to QPR's 82. Season preview, Rochdale 1-91, and Chesterfield are 6-5 in the Championship. Do you think they're going to go up? Well, we'll look at Chesterfield then, and look at that. 2 players at 143, 1 at 141, and we've got 9 in the 130s. Sorry, 10. I've missed 133 there. So 10 players in the 130s and 3 more. So 13 above 130. That's a barometer for comparison. Let's have a look at that. So 13 above 130. The goalkeeper at 122. Oh, well, look at that. The goalkeeper at 126. The goalkeepers haven't improved greatly, which is, you know, is that goalkeeping coaches? I just don't know, really. Don't know. But they're all average coaches, as you can see. Still got all the 10s. I've frozen the attributes, you see. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, froze the attributes at 10s. Just because I wanted the coaches to remain the same. So, 155. We've got 6 players 150 or above. 10 players in the 140s. 140 or above. We had 10 in the 130s and 3 in the 140s for Chesterfield. So, already 18 players above 130. Compared to 13. And it's not just above 130. Their best players at 141. We've got 13 players above that. Sorry, 12 players above it, 1 player level, and above it by a considerable margin. 155 out of 200 for right back 1. He is Premier League quality, and he's going to be playing in League 1. So they've got to go up. You might notice as well when I keep flicking onto these screens, the star rating for the training facilities is 1.5 stars. For some reason, I think it's because they are working on improving their training facilities. That's the only thing I can think of, because I have to keep going back in, edit club details, facilities. Training facilities is 1. I keep going back in and changing it. Doesn't make much difference. Anyway, so 2027, here we come. There you go. Rochdale won the league by 15 points ahead of Cardiff, who got 96 points. That's a bloody good total in League 1. Unfortunate not to win the league, but of course, a superstar team like Rochdale, 111 points, absolutely walked away with it. And they didn't win the league as the media thought they might, but they did come second by a singular point ahead of Southampton, meaning they did get promoted. Chesterfield are in the Premier League at the first time of asking. This does not happen that often. We don't often, in these experiments, go from the Vanarama National League to the Premier League in a single run. Usually, even when we've got the max attribute variation with some of these squads, the fact they've got up there with the worst facilities imaginable is very impressive, isn't it? Let's look at Chesterfield then. Look at that. 158 for centre-back 4, who's been played on the right wing once for some reason. Okay. Quite a few players that have got to 150 and above, which is definitely Premier League quality. 140s for a few, and then, yeah, these players down here who aren't playing much, not having the best of time, are they? Well, they are in the Premier League, and the media thinks that they will finish 13th. They think they'll survive. Now, the media thinks Rochdale are going to go up as champions, and, I mean, come on. You've actually got 5 caps for centre-forward 3. 5 caps, no goals. A lot of them off the bench, but he's actually playing for England. Look at that. 171. Loads in the 160s, 150s, and a few littered in the 130s and 140s. Now, the under-21 squad, few players back here just because they aren't playing, so they're not improving. Yeah, disappointing. So they're not improving. So, of course, game time has a huge effect. So they're not playing and they're not improving. Yet they've got great facilities, but it seems like facilities are very important. That being said, game time is also equally as important. So Chesterfield are improving, but I think the training aspect complements and it works in alignment with game time. So your players, when they're at the age of 20, 19, the facilities probably are important for where you're sending them out on loan, but it's not the be all and end all. If you've got good facilities, you get them to a level, they will probably get to their potential with the right nurturing in game time. But as you can see so far, very clear that facilities are making a huge difference. And the only reason they're not in the same league is because Rochdale were unlucky to lose out in the playoff final, the lottery of the playoffs. They missed out in that first season when they all started off level, and there was very little to split them in that first season, wasn't there? They both improved at the same sort of rate. So let's go to 2028. Rochdale surely will be in the Premier League, and then the competitive nature of this experiment will start. And I would say, based on my findings here, Rochdale are going to walk away with far more trophies than Chesterfield. So Rochdale did win the league on 94 points ahead of Burnley on 86. So they've been promoted. They're in the Premier League. Did Chesterfield go down? They did not. They finished 15th. A respectable 15th. They got 37 points. So another season, they might have been in trouble. But they weren't. They won. They stayed up. So both teams are now in the Premier League. The season preview, look at that. Chesterfield 12th, 100-1. Rochdale 5th, 13-1. We'll check out Chesterfield first. 169 for centre mid 3. So he's a fantastic player. We've got centre back 1, left back 2, winger 1, and right back 1. There's quite a few players in the 160s, a few in the 150s. Looking very good. Have we got anyone in the 180s for Rochdale? We do. 2 players. Loads in the 170s. They've got a much better squad. Loads of caps over here. 17 goals in 17 caps. He had none in 5 to begin with. Unai Emery's in charge, and they're in the quarter-final of the Euros. They won the Euros last time. They're the current champions, current holders, beating France 1-0 there. Jordan Henderson with the goal. And Ralph is unemployed at the moment. He's left Al Ittihad at the end of his contract. He was at Burnley for 3 years. Eddie Howe's now at Burnley. Vincent Kompany was sacked. He's now unemployed. He's been unemployed since he was sacked by Burnley 5 years ago. And I'll be honest with you, Vincent Kompany is one of the best managers on this game. He becomes world class and wins so many trophies with whoever he's with in so many of these experiments. We've seen it in many, many videos on this channel, but he's just not doing it in this one. So there you go. Vinicius Jr. plays for Liverpool. £82 million from PSG. They paid £123 million for him. Mikel Arteta is still at Arsenal. Luis Enrique is at Manchester City. Pep Guardiola was sacked. He's now at Chelsea. Wow. He's only been there for 40 days. Poch was sacked about 90 days ago. Brentford have won the Premier League last season. Not last season, the season before. What the hell? Brentford just finished 10th. They won it on 76 points. 75 points for Chelsea and Liverpool. Arsenal on 74. Leeds on 73. Very tight at the top. Brentford went from 12th. Yeah, so Brentford have gone from lower mid-table to mid-table to winning the league out of absolutely bloody nowhere. Raphael Vicky won it. Thomas Frank left to go to become manager of West Ham, probably got sacked, and then Sheffield United. We've had no tycoon takeover here. So Brentford have just done a Leicester and just won the league out of absolutely bloody nowhere. Did not expect that. Anyway, the first season in the Premier League for the pair of them. Let's go to 2029. So there we go. Look at that. Rochdale in 7th, Chesterfield in 15th. Now, have they sacked their manager? No, Paul Cook's still in charge. Rochdale have still... Oh, they've got Brendan Rodgers. Jim McNulty was sacked. Why? Due to the club's poor league position. Did they have a bad start, did they? What? 3 defeats, 4 defeats, 2 wins and a draw in the first 2 months. Yeah, it wasn't great. Yeah, to be fair, to the end of November, it was pretty poor. And then, bang, they've done all right. Had a bad February, but they've done all right. Brendan Rodgers has come in and done pretty well for them. They are 7th with Europa League football. Chesterfield 15th with nothing. Rochdale are now going to finish 2nd according to the media. Chesterfield 11th. Well, we'll look at Chesterfield first once again, as per usual. Loads of players at 170. We've even got a cap for centre-back 1. Chesterfield centre-back 1 has got 1 international cap and a goal, no less. Fair play to him. Loads at 170. 1 at 173. You at 3 in the 160s and the 150s. 4, 5 players in the 150s. And then a load of filler down here. So they've got enough to survive. Will they do anything? They need to improve a little bit more, but they're going to be slower to improve than Rochdale, and they'd be probably faster to fall away. But I don't think they're going to get to 200. They might, but I'm not feeling it. Rochdale, on the other hand, have got, 2 players at 192, 2 at 189, 2 at 187, 186, 184, 181, 180. So loads of world-class talent up here. Sean Dyche is now in charge of England, absolutely loving the World Cup qualifications. They beat Denmark in the final 3-0. Rochdale winger with a goal. Only 2 players from Rochdale started, right back and centre back. Right back 2 and winger 1 did come off the bench. But not loads of players in the squad. You'd expect more. You would expect more. There is more now. Sean Dyche has said, do you know what? Rochdale are the next big thing. You've got the entire back line. Although he's got right back 2 and right back 1, both playing in defence. Right back 2 can play centre back. Okay. He's been retrained. Right back 2 has been retrained. Madness. Okay, so let's go to 2030 then. And as predicted by the media, they did finish in 2nd. Rochdale were 2 points off the pace of Manchester City, who did win the league. Marco Rose is in charge of Manchester City, incidentally. Chesterfield got Conference League football by winning the Carabao Cup. So Rochdale actually came runner-up to Man City a couple of years ago. They beat Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final on penalties. Wow, look at that. Impressive. So Chesterfield have got themselves a trophy. And I was going to say, have Rochdale? Well, yes, they have. They're actually the current Europa League holders by beating Nice. They beat Nice in the final 1-0. Centre forward 2 with the only goal of the game. He's only at 162 current ability, so he's a squad option for them. We're looking at the squad. 2 players at 199, 1 at 198, 1 at 197, 2 at 196, 195, 194. Wow, just look at them. Absolutely brilliant. Chesterfield at 170s, so their players are getting stuck at 170. So I think we've sort of hit a hard cap, really. Not got much more room to play with. I mean, right back 1 has gone further and winger 3, but there was 5 players at 170 last time. There's now 6. Only 2 at 161. A few caps being littered in here, but not many. So there you have it. It's 2030. Harry Kane's still going in 2030 at 30. Oh, he's only 36. Still at Bayern. So, the season preview, well, this time the media think Rochdale are going to win the league. And I'll be honest with you, so do I. Like 6 or 7 players in the 190s, they have to. So, we're going to jump. So, normally at this point we do 5-year jumps. They'll be 29, they'll be in their peak. They won't have started declining at 29. They'll be as high as they can physically go. So, how high will Chesterfield get to in terms of their ability? Let's jump 5 years. And we'll see how those 5 years have treated them. Yeah, Rochdale were 2nd, and the following season, oh my God, 2nd again. Chesterfield came 10th. Rochdale came 2nd again. Disappointing. The following season, though, they did get their name on the Premier League trophy by beating Liverpool by 2 points. 31-32 season, Chesterfield were 10th. And then they got Europa League football by finishing 7th, whilst Rochdale fell back down to 7th. This time with a better points total than when they won it by 5 points. But Liverpool absolutely romped home by 7 points. Liverpool then fell away down into 4th, with Rochdale winning the league for the 2nd time of the experiment. Chesterfield getting Champions League football from 8th. That's a European trophy win if I've ever seen one. And then the following season, the most recent season, in fact, it was a 1-2 finish for our 2 teams. Rochdale first, Chesterfield 2nd. And I would say Chesterfield have probably got themselves some decent players. Well, 170 wasn't the hard cap, very, very clearly. They have exceeded that, quite a few of the players. They've actually got to 180s and 190s for some of them, but they are not... this is as high as they're ever going to go. They're not going to go any higher. They might have already started to decline. Wouldn't have thought they had, but they might have done. Their best season was just then in Premier League, finishing second. They won the Europa League as well by beating Atletico Madrid last season. The most current winners were Leeds. Brendan Rodgers is still in charge of Rochdale. Now, have Rochdale won any Champions Leagues? That's the question. Oh my God, they have. They won against Liverpool in the 33-34 season. In the season where Liverpool won the league, I think. Or was it the season before? And then they beat Chesterfield in the final most recently. So we've got Rochdale, who've won 3 Premier Leagues and 2 Champions Leagues. And their players are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at 200. 4 at 199. So 11 players at 199 or better. They've got 2 players on the bench at 192 and 191. They've got a 182 there, and then the rest of them in the 160s and then 150s and 140s. So these guys aren't playing much. It is what it is. But at 29 years old, they're doing very, very well indeed. And in terms of England, they finished third, beating Ecuador in the World Cup third place playoff in the 2030 tournament. And the following Euros, they lost in the finals to Spain, 1-0. Declan Rice with an own goal. Bloody hell, Declan. And the World Cup quarter-final, they lost to Argentina. Disappointing. Very disappointing for England. The season preview, the media thinks that Rochdale are going to win the league. They think Chesterfield are actually going to finish 4th. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is sort of a bit similar to what actually happens. Well, how quickly will these players start to depreciate and decline? I think Chesterfield are going to get relegated. They might even get relegated to League One by 2045. But we are only going to jump 5 years now. I think they'll both still be in the league at 2040. Let's just go there. 34 years old they'll be. So yeah, there we go. Top 2, 2034, 35. And then again, top 2, 22 points. Bloody hell. 77 points being in second place is no total, is it? It's not bad, but you know, Rochdale getting 99 points, 1 defeat all season, actually lost to Chesterfield. And then again, it was the top 2, again 99 points. This time 3 defeats, losing to Leeds, Wolves and Arsenal. Chesterfield once again in second place, 23 points behind. It's very tight in the top 6. Rochdale won the league again by 14 points. Chesterfield down in 4th this time on 71. Then they found themselves back up in second place in the 38-39 season. Rochdale, however, were first once again on 95 points. It's not just they're winning the league comfortably. And again, 94 points for Rochdale, winning the league in the most recent season. Chesterfield down in 10th. So that's interesting. So the players, we've still got 180s and we've got quite a few 170s. So they haven't declined too much, but I feel like they are on the decline. Rochdale, again, these guys are on the decline as well, but still got some players in the 190s, lots in the 180s. And of course, they're still winning trophy upon trophy upon trophy. And it's not just Premier Leagues they've won. After 2 Champions Leagues in a row, they've only gone to win another 5 Champions Leagues in a row. They have won 7 Champions Leagues. And Brendan Rodgers is probably one of the leading names in world football right now. He's on £160,000 a week. Rochdale as a club have got £1 billion in the bank. So the players are going to start to decline a bit. Rochdale are still expected to win the league. Chesterfield are expected to finish 8th. So in these next 5 years, like I say, Chesterfield, I'm almost certain they will get relegated. Will they go down to League One? I think they've held on better than I thought they would. I thought they'd have probably had at least 2 seasons at mid-table, maybe even a third. So we'll see. They're definitely going to go down one division. If Chesterfield go to the Championship, so if Rochdale go down to the Championship, Chesterfield will go down to League One. Chesterfield will go down 1 level further than Rochdale. That's the prediction. Let's go to 2045. There we were, and the following season, well, Rochdale did slip away from the top of the league, finishing 5th, and Chesterfield actually did get relegated. They did get relegated, so straight away, first season, they were down. Rochdale then back up in 2nd, then in 5th. Chesterfield are back, ladies and gentlemen. They got re-promoted. Go on, Chesterfield, lads. Then Chesterfield went down bottom, and we finished 17th, and Rochdale have just got relegated. Final season. Leeds have won the league for 2 years in a row. Have a bit of that. So the last 5 years, no wins for Rochdale. No more Champions Leagues. Leeds are Champions League winners. No FA Cups in the last 5 years. I've not checked in on FA Cups, to be fair. In actual fact, they'd won 6. Rochdale have won 6 FA Cups. How many Carabao Cups? Just the 2. Just 2 Carabao Cups. Very, very disappointing, that is. So Chesterfield came down and they came straight back up as champions, going up on 107 points. Bournemouth on 103 points in second, having to set up a second place with that many points. Heartbreaking. And then we saw Chesterfield come back down. They went down back to back. So I said, didn't I? This season now, Rochdale are there, Chesterfield are in League One. So what a prediction that was. What a prediction. The players, have just declined horrendously. 138 is their best player. Loads under 100. Loads under 75. Loads under 90 where they started. Really bad. Rochdale, they've still got players in the 160s, 150s, 140s. Quite a few players have fallen below 90. Like, they're the ones that haven't really played. But the players that have been playing, done very well. Look at that, 178 caps for the goalkeeper. Mikel Arteta's in charge of England. I don't think we checked in on England after the last time. So they won the Euros against France in 2036. The goal for Rochdale, winger 2 in the final. Lost in the quarter-final to Belgium in the World Cup in 38. Lost in the final to Turkey in 2040. In 2042, they were out in the second round to Argentina. And then they went out in the semi-final in 2044. Most of the players would have gone by this point. Of course they would, actually. They're getting relegated. There's no way they'll be in the England squad. So, well, there you go. Facilities were huge, weren't they, in this one? The players improved massively. They stopped declining much better. Chesterfield have got a Europa League and a Carabao Cup to boast to their name. And they have got some league titles on the way up. Had Rochdale and them gone up in the first season together, I think Rochdale would have won and finished ahead of them every single season if they were both in the same league. So it is what it is. They've got £850 million in the bank. Their facilities are going to improve. I'm sure of it. I'm sure they'll invest. Rochdale have got £1 billion in the bank and max facilities, of course. They have got, look at the icons and favoured personnel. Brendan Rodgers retired probably after getting sacked by Rochdale, despite the fact he should never have been sacked considering he won so much stuff. He was actually manager of the season in 39-40, so he left in 41. He probably was sacked because he had that bad season. Anyway, so Ballon d'Or, only 3. Rochdale winger 3 got 2 and Rochdale winger 1 for the Ballon d'Or, all for Rochdale. Lamine Yamal won plenty. Football of the Year, again, Chesterfield winger 1 did win it one year. The Rochdale wingers and centre forwards have done a bit of a number on this one. Player of the Year, again, it's all about Rochdale. Chesterfield winger 3 did sneak in there, so he's had a decent sort of showing in his career. World Team of the Year, all seasons. I'll quickly move out of the way. So we've got the goalkeeper, we've got the right back 2, centre back 4, left back 1, defensive mid 1, winger 1 as a cam, and winger 3 on the right. We've also got Rochdale centre forward 3 on the bench. So an absolute litany of a plethora of players have got themselves into the all-time 11, the Champions League sort of awards, World Team of the Year sort of thing. And with that being said, we can say quite categorically, facilities are very, very important in the match engine. Facilities are very, very important in the game for player development, player growth, and to stop declining. Regardless of game time, regardless of potential, facilities are super crucial, much more than coaches. So spend your time on your facilities, not your coaches. Of course, as ever, we have simulated forward a little bit longer just to see how well these teams rebuild themselves with that money that they've got. So let's go through to the end and see where they end up. We're in 2073, ladies and gentlemen, and if we look in the Premier League, we are seeing Rochdale. They still have just the 7 Champions Leagues and the 8 Premier Leagues, so no more trophies for them in terms of competitions. The domestic leagues, well, they were down in the Championship for 2 seasons and they came up by the playoffs. But 3 years in the Premier League before coming back down. Then they won the Championship, and ever since the 51-52 season, they have been in the Premier League in the bottom half for the first 6-7 years. Then they broke into the top half where they'd been ever since until last season, or 2 seasons ago, where they finished 15th and then they finished 10th. So Rochdale have done pretty well with their rebuild. They've got no money left, unfortunately. They've got the Rochdale Winger 2 Stadium, which rolls off the tongue beautifully, built in 2062, 11 years ago. Where are Chesterfield, I hear you ask? Well, they are in the Championship, ladies and gentlemen. No more trophies for them, I don't think. They were down in League 1. They went down to League 2 straight away. 2 seasons there, back up, and a few seasons in League 1, then up into the Championship. A few seasons again, then they went down, then straight back up. Then they were in the Championship for about 7 or 8 years. Then they went to the Premier League, spent 2 years there before they fell back down, and they've been in the Championship ever since. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. They've got very good facilities. They've got a little bit more money than Rochdale. They've got the Chesterfield Stadium, which was built in 2032. And there you go. That's the end of today's experiment. Let's have a look at Rochdale and their trophy haul. Well, look at that. There's the honours. 7 Champions Leagues, 8 Premier Leagues, 8 FA Cups. Was it 8? No. Rochdale have won 2 FA Cups in the interim. Fair play. They've actually won some FA Cups since we left. And they've won a Carabao Cup. A couple of runners-up as well. But an absolute whole host of trophies, and they have managed to get themselves back to the Premier League and maintain a decent showing in the Premier League since we left. But as I said, facilities, crucial. So make sure you upgrade them. Nag your board. Sell your best players and improve your facilities, because you'll only make more. But when you're rising through the leagues and you are using that money and you're thinking, oh, that's a lot of money to invest in my facilities, is it worth it? In my opinion, this video shows categorically, yes, it is absolutely worth it. If you think about it, if you've got a player that's about 140 current ability and you've got your better facilities and he's now at 150, that's the difference between, you know, you could probably get another 15, 20 million pounds for them in the transfer market, and upgrading those facilities will not cost you that much. So it's a false economy not to improve them at every opportunity you can within reason. I mean, the board won't let you go into massive debt, will it? So yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, I've waffled long enough. So other than that, that is the end of today's video, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've had a good time watching it. Let me know in the comments down below any other variations of this kind of experiment, or any experiment in general that you'd like me to sort of set up and do. So I had some great ideas recently. Very admin heavy, so it might take me a while, but I will endeavour to get through them. As I say, like the video, subscribe to the channel, take good care of yourselves, gang. Hang around and watch this video that's popping up here, because it's best for a viewer. And I'll see you soon.